and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Mark Johnson, visionary co-founder and editorial board chair for the CDO Magazine. I'm also regional vice president and executive leader for strategic data management and analytics at Fusion Alliance, a Midwest regional digital transformation consulting firm here in the United States. Today, I have the great honor and privilege of interviewing Sara Willovit, associate director, product data governance at BD. Sara, welcome to the interview.
Mark, great being here. Thank you.
As we get started, can you take a minute to share a little bit with our listeners about your academic and professional journey that brought you to your current role at BD?
Sure. I'm a CPA. My background's really in accounting, and I started my career really in financial audit and then had the opportunity to really get into data governance when the company I worked for at the time, Pearson, implemented a large global Hyperion system. And that really got me into financial data governance. And since then, I have moved into other data domains as I've traveled through other industries. I would say my specialty is really standing data governance and stewardship programs from the ground up. And that's what I did when I moved to BD in 2019, right before the pandemic, in standing up a product data governance program.
Awesome. And was BD looking for someone to lead a new function, or did it exist at some level?
So it was actually a new function. We had a new CEO, a new CIO come on board, and we also had a system implementation, moving from multiple ERPs because we grew through acquisition to a single S/4HANA implementation.
Gotcha. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about BD? What is the business of BD?
So BD, we're over 100 years old. We're actually going to be celebrating our anniversary. I would say we started out, probably more people would think of us as medical devices. I want to say we're the largest supplier of needles in the world, but we've since then really moved into the life sciences. And so I would say that now we're really in the biotech space, which is very exciting. And that's where we see a lot of growth in our business. We also have a lot of our vision is combining technology with healthcare. So that's really critical for us.
Well, data would be obviously an important part of that journey for sure. When it comes to establishing a data-driven culture, trust in data is a key dimension for success. To establish trust in data requires a solid foundation of data governance. Can you offer a clear definition of what data governance really is for our readers and listeners?
So to me, data governance really involves the availability, usability, and consistency, integrity, and security of the data. And this often includes establishing processes to ensure effective data management, such as driving accountability if there's negative impact for poor data quality, and ensuring that our data can be used by the entire organization rather than by specific silos. I would say that most of my time is spent orchestrating data activities between various groups, like our BUs, our regions, our functional stakeholders, as well as our data community, our data owners, stewards, IT, security, privacy. So I would say that orchestration is key, and being very diplomatic is a key skill set to being successful.
Wow, you've opened up a large topical area that we could live in for a minute, but I want to take one big part of it. You mentioned data quality as the foundational component of data governance. Can you share with our listeners what you mean by data quality?
So data, when I think of high quality data, I think about the fact that it has to be fit for business use, whatever that is. So for operation, decision making, planning. Now, since you've got different stakeholders that may have different opinions of what that data should be, that's where you have data governance come in to really have agreed upon data definitions, data standards. Now, as far as the assessment of data, you want to have rules in terms of driving what the data should look like. What does good mean? And from an improvement standpoint, we also look at acceptable thresholds because it's a lot to consider that 100% is always needed for every single data attribute. So you want to kind of look at what is really needed to make it fit for business use, and how do I not overtax my stewardship community. Now, what I then do is also have a scorecard that allows for ongoing monitoring of the data health. And it also gives that senior leadership an understanding of what is our data health at a given time.
Yeah, I love the idea of having a threshold, a data quality threshold associated with data, and that brings me to the point of asking the question about um, critical data elements. So, when you talk about data quality, and an organization has thousands and thousands of data elements across thousands of data files or databases, how do you narrow the scope of where the return on investment for putting that human effort and machine effort against looking at quality? How do you focus that down to what we would consider to be critical data elements? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. Very good question. So typically, data governance organizations are relatively small, and you don't want to boil the ocean, as you mentioned, with hundreds of the attributes that you have. So this approach of looking at critical data elements, CDEs as I call them, really has a strategy to focus on what provides the organization with the largest amount of value, without boiling the ocean and without, expanding your organization, the governance organization. So really it's about the business, working with the business to identify what is critical, either based on reporting requirements, compliance, marketing needs. Is there a system implementation? So you want to look at what's happening within the organization and really work with the business to flush out those CDEs. I then map the CDEs directly to business value. Every CDE, how is this going to drive where our intended purpose? How is this increasing revenue, decreasing costs, increasing operational efficiency? So that, again, I'm constantly, and I update those annually, and I align them to the overall enterprise goals and objective. So at BD, that's our 2025 vision. And so again, once you then have your CDEs, you roadmap it. So again, the business has clear transparency of what am I going to govern when, and what type of governance am I applying for my governance toolkit. And so the idea being is that once you've governed all of your CDEs, at that point, you should have developed the business value or been able to establish, and they can see the business value, which will then allow you to expand your governance program beyond even CDEs.
Thank you for providing a glimpse into the approach that you've taken to establish a successful data governance program at BD. And I'd love to have you back again on the magazine. I think our listeners, viewers, and readers will be significantly blessed by what you've shared. So I expect that this will be a popular interview out on our site. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm the Editorial Board Chair for CDO Magazine. It's been my pleasure today to speak with Sara Willovit, who's Associate Director of Product Data Governance at BD, and actually a data governance innovator, I would say. BD is a med device manufacturer. To view other great interviews, please go to cdomagazine.tech and check out what we have posted out there. Sara, last word goes to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark, for having me on this. It was a real pleasure. I love talking about data. I love kind of the different angles, and I think data's just gotten so important lately. So it's really heartwarming to kind of see now how many people really see the value of our data asset.
Yeah, that's really true. CDO Magazine is now consumed in 176 countries around the world. And so it has gone in just 2 short years from nothing to being a global
Amazing.
force, as a voice. And it's because of people like you who share your wisdom. Thank you again so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day, Mark.